I want to get this good for Tim and his son. Good morning, everybody. Tim and his kid would rate my good morning, everybody. He's on a scale of 1 to 10. I like that. I got a little gravitas, I feel like, in the voice today. I did not sleep like at all last night.
I didn't either.
Oh, that makes three of us.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. Also,
I had to go see our friends at Quick Trip, fuel up and get some coffee this morning. It was so
did anyone talk to you?
No. I look terrible.
Hey, aren't you Grant from the Wisco Sports Show?
I am.
As a matter of fact.
Are you going to talk Brewers today? You haven't talked Brewers much this week. We're going to try to get them in there.
Yep. Well, we'll get there. We get to a game pretty soon too. I gotta get out there. Yeah, I gotta get out there. I am obviously that's Grant Bills, Paul Immig. As you know, that's what the subject header of the post said, and I'm excited to be here with you today. I'm also going to be, if you're on the Dan Schani video stream, danschani.com. You will see that I keep looking to my right. That's where one of my basement windows are. We are redoing our driveway. So this is what happens when you're older and have a home and you have like things you need to do. Like I'm thinking, let's turn my basement into a wacky, fun man cave zone. Well, that money has to be allocated for pavement. The driveway was in disrepair. It needed to be fixed. And there's crews working on it. And right now, all's well that ends well, but it may be loud. And I don't know what we'll pick up on here. Yeah, it could be wild. Before we start the proceedings, I just want to bitch about something, if I may.
Oh, I always worry when you have your pre sessions sometimes wade into my topic territory. So I'm nervous worried like that I'm about to.
I don't think.
I bet it is, but I have a feeling. But go ahead.
Well, it's something that not a lot of people ever talk about.
Okay, maybe. Keep going.
LeBron James?
No, you're in the clear.
Believe it or not, this motherfucker's not retiring.
Obviously not.
So why do these people feel the need to do this? Did you guys hear that?
Just like a single.
Oh, you didn't hear the massive engine?
No,
push through.
Great. All right. Why do people feel the need to do this will I or won't I every time? Athletes at the end of their career act like, teenage girls with Facebook. That's it. I'm quitting. Either do it or don't.
Well, and it's 20 minutes after being swept out of the conference finals.
You can't. Right. Of course he's thinking about retirement at that point. He's thinking about everything. He is tired. He just got swept by the Nuggets. Worn down.
After putting up an amazing performance. I probably should have told you I have not yet finished the game. Just kidding. I did.
Oh, well, sorry.
No, I'm
I mean, the same thing happened. You'd be spoiled. The same thing happened. This was like, and I don't know if at this point I put anything in. We're recording Tuesday morning. I don't know if I mentioned Heat or Celtics or not in this podcast. I probably won't. Either the Heat win and they sweep and it's even funnier than the other night, or the Celtics come back and the Heat delay it. So there's your update. Also, the Brewers played. Excellent. I think I am going to do Brewers live on Wednesday afternoon. We'll see if that pops a number or not. But with LeBron, it's like they just got swept. And then as I'm sitting there realizing that I've lost my train of thought. So I don't know what I was saying.
That no one believes he's actually going to retire.
Oh, this series had 4 good games.
Yeah, it did.
But you'll never look back and say that was a good series.
I think that's what some people said about the Nets-Celtics series last year, right? Is it was a sweep, but it was like the closest sweep of all time.
But I don't remember it.
I don't either. But some say it lives as bits in some shows that I watch. Honestly, where people reference that series is a really close sweep, if such a thing.
And I remember it as the game or the series that led to like the has Jason Tatum passed Kevin Durant? Like that was that series.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did it topic with Bart and whomever the guest was that week. And again, not like all time has Tatum passed Durant, but in the here and now has Tatum passed Durant. Yeah, that was
passed Durant in the here and now. Do we think?
If I could, Tatum passed Durant.
No, hold on. Here, okay, fine. We'll just do a little impromptu. You get 2 years. We're not talking like long term, right? So you get 2 years. Durant or Tatum.
Durant.
You would choose Tatum. Mm-hmm.
No.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
100%.
Injury concerns not there, not present enough to make you go.
Not showing up in the fourth quarter concerns.
Tatum. Although I will give Jason Tatum credit, if he continues on this trajectory and he is young, and I know people joke, but he is young, then next postseason he's due to have 3 good games and not just 2. Last year he had 1, and it was enough to hold on in Milwaukee. This year he had 2. Next year maybe he'll have 3. So I guess if he keeps progressing, maybe we'll talk.
Well, Boston Sports Talk, and specifically Bill Simmons, has already ventured into is Jaylen Brown being traded to the Portland Trailblazers conversation. So we've entered that portion of the not even yet off season for the Celtics. I think I would just barely take Durant in the 2-year window, but very, very close.
Sure.
Did you see my big news that Ben Albright finally blocked me?
Now, this is what I was worried you were going to bring up.
Okay, then we'll wait. The other thing I want to do.
This is where I knew you were going to go.
We're woefully late, but I want to tease after the break the way that you teased with Grant and I on the text the other night.
Did you hear this part of last night's pod?
I shit all over you.
Yeah.
Me or Grant or both?
You.
What did I do?
You're like, I'm like, oh, guys, we got coming up this week. And wait till you hear what how Paul teased it to me and Grant. He said, I have a topic for us tomorrow that I'm really excited to talk about and curious to hear your gut reactions to, AKA every fucking show we do.
There's usually not always one topic.
But Paul, this is that's what this is.
But it's me trying to like at least get myself like it. I'm so excited to talk about it. I'm not doing this on social media to like actually promote. Like I'm just doing it to you guys because I'm like I really want to talk about this. I wish we could talk about this right now. That's how I get very passionate about like God damn it, why do I have to wait until the morning?
This is Bart. I read that as, more than normal. He's even excited more than normal. Bart, he's always excited, but Paul must be even more excited this week. Bart,
yeah.
He's playing.
Like I had like a handful of weeks ago, I had like the NFL versus NBA playoff announcers, and I was like, I want to talk about this right now. I have to wait until the morning. This sucks. That's what this one is. So thanks for being a dickhead, Bart.
That's why we couldn't sleep last night. We were so excited.
Probably.
Yeah, we're all so excited. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Bart Winkler Show. If you're having problems sleeping, may I suggest taking a gummy or through 2, 3. Happy Place Hemp, the CBD CBN gummies that help you sleep at night. And clearly I did not take my gummy. So that's why maybe I couldn't sleep. Damn. Not only am I a customer, I'm a founder. I actually invented gummies. People don't know. I gave the recipe to the guys, Chris and Rob at Happy Place Hemp, and they've been doing a great job with it. Get the promo code BART, 25% off every single order you get with your gummies, your tinctures, your lip balms. And the best part is, hey, I just want to try it. I've never tried it before. You know what's great is a lot of younger people are introducing their parents to the way that these things can help with the CBD and the THC. And they're like, ooh, that's nasty. I don't know. And then so you get a sampler pack and then it's 25% off. And then they're like, gimme, gummy, gimme more. And then you can still use the 25% promo code. That's actually the read that Chris and Rob told me to say. They said, gimme, gummy, gimme more. That was in all caps. 25% off promo code is Bart. All right. Paul is very excited for today's episode.
Yeah, sometimes I told you guys a couple weeks ago, sometimes I don't want to come in with like the hot and heavy, the one I'm really excited about. I got to like warm us up first. I can't wait any longer. We've waited long enough.
Okay, here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Drum roll. And honestly, it's not like the typical one. Like, I would normally not start with it because of the topic, but here's how I want to frame this up.
Brittany Griner. Okay.
All of the NBA's players, general managers, and coaches are free agents.
Ooh.
All of them. All the players, all the coaches, all the general managers.
Oh, no, don't do it.
How many before Spoelstra? Please tell me that's where you're going.
That is the topic. Yes. All right. So here's my question for you. The specifics of the question for you. And, Grant, I love your passion and enthusiasm. It matches where my head was at last night. If you guys didn't just see this, Grant just did a loop around his bedroom, living room, wherever he is.
It's both.
Erik Spoelstra, there's 30 NBA teams. Erik Spoelstra would be a first-round pick in this draft. He'd be one of the first 30 people chosen. Or
And you can choose player or coach.
Or GM. I mean, I'm just to throw it out there. But yes, player or coach. Or GM. Erik Spoelstra is a first-round pick, a top 30 most valuable NBA asset.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
All right, well, here's what I'm going to do for this question. And I was going to do this, and then now I can't find Giannis's name on here. I searched the NBA. Oh, that's by playoffs. Okay, he sucked. He barely played.
I have a list up of some random internet list of.
I would first of all, I would say, no. I'm taking 30. I'm not.
This is why my whole gut reaction thing. I was like, "Where's your gut? Your gut is so your gut is no."
Well, I am going to take at least 10 players before I take a coach.
Oh, I'm more than comfortable with that. He's not a top 10 pick. I'm with you there.
No, but I'll go 10 rounds.
Oh, you're out of your fucking mind.
Oh, you're out of your guard.
Yeah.
So then I'm looking at, okay, well, let's say it's 30 people, 30 teams. Yeah. So here's a stat that you probably like. On NBA.com, I've searched by EFF, which I have to think means effort.
I'm sure efficiency.
Oh, efficiency. Oh, I thought it meant effort.
Okay.
So at what point does Spoelstra get drafted, or any coach, like whatever?
Well, and let's just be clear. Let's set this up to say, and I think we said this last week, the NBA coaching tiers go like this. Erik Spoelstra, number 1, gap. Then there's like this group of 4 guys that I think Ty Lue is part of. So it's not like any coach. Almost every other coach would go in the 23rd round or something. But in the case of Erik Spoelstra, I do think so. Anyway, I'm obviously teasing my hand here, but keep going, Bart.
Well, why is Steph not on this list? Where is he? Anyway, I'll just start throwing out some names by efficiency. Jokic, Embiid, Luka, Giannis, Sabonis, SGA, Lillard, Tatum, Harden, Butler, Irving. Then you get to like Markkanen, Siakam, Porzingis, Randall. I mean, someone's taking.
You are you're wading into the territories of how high you will actually draft Erik Spoelstra. I promise you will conclude there.
Yeah, no, somebody would. Somebody would take, like, if I'm like, should I take Spoelstra or Lauri Markkanen?
Right. And I like Markkanen. But the answer is Erik fucking Spoelstra.
So here's what I presented to a national audience the other day. And I like doing this because they might have more knowledge than me. Like I don't follow I'm a Bucks fan, whatever. But I asked a Heat fan that had called in. I said, he's talking about Erik Spoelstra being one of the greatest of all time.
Yes.
I'm like, well, what? Why do I see this huge gap here where they were bad? Why do I see this 37, 48, 41, 44, 39, 44, right around 500? And what he was saying was, well, LeBron was there, and then they had Bosh, and they got fucked by the cap.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of years that I'm saying like should go against Spoelstra, when he's saying really, I mean, there was nothing that they could do.
Like how many wins above replacement was Spoelstra with those teams? Probably a dozen.
Look, when it comes to I still, and this is where I argue a lot, and it's really pointless. It is. and it's something I've been trying to get off of in terms of the way that I argue. It's always like, I'm always like, well, you can say someone's good, but to say he's great is like, what the fuck? You know, I'm always like that. I'm like, you can do this, but you can't do that. And I think with these playoffs, Spoelstra is clearly better than Joe Mazzulla. I mean, come on. Now him and Thibodeau, okay, you out-coached him. Bud, clearly out-coached.
He owns Bud every year.
I look at this playoffs, and I don't watch the Heat and think, in this year's playoffs, I don't watch the Heat and think, Spoelstra's doing that. I don't think that at all.
In the regular season or the playoffs?
This playoffs.
Then we're watching a different game.
Jimmy's doing this.
Jimmy had 19 points and was like the 5th best player on the Heat in Game 3.
So then the other guys, all these other guys are shooting. All these other guys are shooting at outrageous clips. Spoelstra is not. He's getting more credit than he deserves.
He's setting, though. Here's the thing, though. He is setting and has set, along with guys like Jimmy Butler, but he has instituted a culture.
Oh God, don't he? I can't. The fucking Christ. Heat next to culture. I don't even like honestly, the other night I thought I might die.
Jeez.
I lost my wallet after doing Gelb's show, and I was dumpster diving in the dumpster at Odyssey because I thought I put my wallet, because I was so mad. I went to Sendix and I was so mad about my Packer trip. We want to go to Vegas, and now somebody can't. And now they want to go to fucking Atlanta in September because of rooftop pools. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I don't want to go to fucking Atlanta ever, specifically not when it's hot. Atlanta sucks. Atlanta, 90 degrees in Atlanta is like 60 degrees in Atlanta is like 90 degrees anywhere else. 90 degrees in Atlanta is like hell's like, holy fuck, that's too hot. Okay. Atlanta sucks. I don't want to go there. I'm not so anyway, I was pissed. So I thought I put my wallet in my Sendix bag, and then my Sendix bag got thrown away because of the nighttime guy. And so I jumped into the dumpster and was tearing through like a raccoon, and I couldn't find my wallet. Then I'm looking all over my car. But when I was in the dumpster, I thought I saw someone coming up to me, and it was just my back car door open because I was frantic. And I thought I saw someone, and I thought in that moment that I might die. And I thought everything that I've ever loved and known is never going to know me, and I'm never going to know them again. And for a moment, I was at peace with it because I knew I'd never have to hear the phrase heat culture again.
Let me be clear. I never said heat culture, and I didn't even intend it in that way. I was not heat culture and me saying he instituted a culture were disparate thoughts. I didn't even connect them as your trigger word of heat culture. Also, I'm glad you're okay. And thirdly, do you pronounce it raccoon?
That's funny. I like.
Is that what I said?
But you pronounce some words uniquely, so I thought maybe that's just how you.
Well, like I'd say, program to be a dick.
That's some Dennis Reynolds shit. Just when you're mad, just pronounce things slightly weird to be extra dramatic. I'm a fan of that. I like raccoon. I got a kick out of that.
But I thought jaguars.
Well, if I say raccoon, everyone's like raccoon. Fucking Falcons. Jaguars.
All right, so I've triggered Bart here, and I am glad you're okay after last. Did you find your wallet?
Yeah, it was in the studio it was under a wheel of the chair.
TSA might have had it.
The good news is you have your clip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was in New York. Shit.
Can't dumpster dive in New York, man. It's risky.
That's just walking the streets is dumpster diving in New York.
It actually might be safer to dive a dumpster in New York than in Milwaukee. I don't know.
So, Bart, sorry for saying the culture word in relation to the Miami Heat. Do we want to? Well, Grant, you gave an excited dance 5 minutes ago about this topic.
That's
Erik Spoelstra would be a first-round pick in this hypothetical everyone's a free agent draft.
That's because I love topics like this. Like I love if there was an expansion draft, how many people would you protect before this? You know what I mean?
Oh, it's great stuff.
I'm looking at Bill Simmons trade value chart, not because it's gospel, but because I wanted a reference point. So if we were to draft the entire league, we're not just drafting the best players, we're drafting guys with upside or guys who are young, guys you can build around. So Zion is 30th, Jamal Murray's 29th, Tyrese Halliburton's 31st.
I'm taking Spoelstra in front of Jamal Murray and in front of Zion.
Yeah, because what does Jamal Murray alone get you?
Nothing.
You know what I mean? Like
nothing.
If you have the 30th best player in the league, but you're not pairing him with Jokic or you're not pairing him with the guy who's top 5, then do you really have?
You don't. Anything? And so what I think, let me just say, what I think I'm getting with Spoelstra is I'm getting the next Gabe Vincent, the next Max Strus, the next Caleb Martin. He is going to find guys who are drafted. No, no other team does this. The Heat in a playoff game against the Celtics in Boston. I guess it was in Miami.
You give him too much. I mean, you're just giving.
So who gets credit for Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson was undrafted before he got paid? Like, is Pat Riley? Is this all Pat Riley? And any coach could have come in and done this? Like,
maybe we should talk more about Pat Riley. But I don't know, Bart. It seems like you've gotten past the Heat knocking the Bucks out to the point where now you just tip your cap, which is a place that I never get to with teams that beat our team. So I think but you haven't gone all the way as to really embrace the Heat culture and Spo.
No, I'm not looking at I'm watching Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and Duncan Robinson, and I'm like, these are guys that stepped up when it was time to step up. And I'm not like right away saying bow down to, like, I'm not saying bow down to the coach. Like, Joe Mazzulla's getting shit on in Boston. He ain't the one out there not giving a shit. What do they need? A movie speech from Al Pacino to be pumped up in the second half? Like, I understand that there's like, okay, Monty Williams probably should have been let go with the way that things have happened in the last 3 years. But I think we've all talked about that for different reasons. But I just think that the eagerness for us to take Erik Spoelstra, who is one of the better coaches in the league. What?
One of the better coaches is an insane thing to say.
How the fuck is that? That's an insane thing to say.
Because he's in the tier of his own. I'm so confused by this.
I'm confused why you want to love Spoelstra so hard.
This is not a recency bias. This is a repeated thing of a guy overtaking his team by multiple wins. If a really, really good but not great NBA player is worth 5 to 6 wins per year,
Paul, they're a 500 team pretty much every year after LeBron.
Okay, so this is where we have to debate pretty strongly here. When Eric Name did a really good job on Zach Lowe's podcast at the end of this Bucks playoff 5-game run, he kept talking about Bud's regular season resume. And what I would have wanted to retort to Eric in the moment was, you keep talking about the regular season and Bud's accolades. That's what you're doing here. Now keep in mind, I'm the guy who says the NBA regular season is utterly and completely meaningless for the top tier of teams, the teams that are legit contenders. It's nothing. It's really fun to watch, but it's nothing. I don't give a goddamn about the regular season stuff for Erik Spoelstra, for Budenholzer, like none of it. So I guess I'm confused.
If you want to talk about like, he outcoached Joe Mazzulla or Ime Udoka or Tom Thibodeau. I mean, yes. Yeah, but if you want to all of a sudden give him all the credit for these undrafted guys making shots out of their ass.
Who would you like to give the credit to?
The guys making shots out of their ass.
Why do other teams not have 4 or 5 undrafted dudes at any one point in time doing the same thing?
Because there's no one in their way. All the Heat have are all these undrafted guys.
Do you know what stood in the way of Marchand Beauchamp becoming a player for the Bucks this year? The coach.
Okay, so
the coach stood in the way.
So now Spoelstra's the greatest coach in the league because he's like, I will play you.
Yeah, because he's instituted a word culture.
Oh my God, I can't.
That would make an undrafted player who's nobody think. By the way, Caleb Martin went from the Charlotte Hornets, where he was just one of the 2 Martin brothers, into being one of the best players on the Heat. You think Caleb Martin wasn't like, where I think I could probably maximize like my opportunity as an undrafted player?
Just because you're one of the best players of the Heat doesn't mean you're one of the best players in the league.
I didn't say Caleb Martin's one of the best players in the league. I'm saying he got a chance, was given.
But you're saying when he's one of the best players in the Heat. That's like saying you're one of the best people talking on this podcast.
If Caleb Martin is the 4th best player,
I can't believe
on the
that
Heat,
someone that watches so much NBA is such a casual.
Now we're fighting. Let's go.
No, I don't like Spoelstra. Again, he's good. He's getting way too much credit for this run. This run belongs to Jimmy Butler. The one. He's the one. Everyone's playing with him. It's not Spoelstra. Jimmy Butler is on a mission. He's got his guys on a mission. He's finally found guys that are willing enough to buy in to him. Jimmy Butler's been kicked off 3 teams, essentially. Why? Because he wanted to win, and he's with a bunch of lazy motherfuckers that don't give a shit. This is a Jimmy Butler-led playoff run. Erik Spoelstra is just got a front row seat.
Oh, my God. This is why, though, I was so excited. And was I correct? Did this become a really good topic?
No, it is. I just love how it's framed. I mean, I'll push back on the Spo praising just a little bit. Like I don't know. This playoff has been really annoying to me because every time I go on Twitter during games, it's Thibodeau's a moron, Bud's a moron, right? Doc Rivers, Joe Mazzulla, stupid, bad rotations, bad alignments, bad sets, or take a timeout.
Yeah, your guy Kevin O'Connor likes to do that. Yeah,
just every coach is a moron except for Spo. So if that's true, then I think that the success of Spo and the success of the Heat is a lot due to the ineptitude of other coaches, right? I mean, everyone else is going to get fired. So I think it speaks to a lack of really good coaching in the NBA. I also, in the big picture, and Bart referenced, years ago, I think Erik Spoelstra has been positioned in a way to probably maximize his success and get as much credit as possible while also not getting a lot of blame, right? Because the Heat have not been expected to win titles. And someone would push back and say, well, they expect to win title. Okay, well, good for them. But everyone else watches the Heat and they're like, they're not as talented. They're not as good. Their superstar isn't as good. So when they don't get it done, we just ignore them. Well, they weren't as good. But when they overachieve, Spo gets all the credit, right? So I don't know. Spoelstra hasn't had the expectations that some of these other coaches have had, and I think that factors into the way we talk about him. And
it does. And part of the reason that he has lower expectations is because they often don't have good regular seasons.
Sure. But I mean, they were a 1 seed last year, and maybe they were a better 1 seed than we all thought. I kind of discounted them because their offense really wasn't that great. And, they were one shot away from being in the finals, and we kind of forgot about that. But they were an 8 seed. Cone was yelling at me on my show the other day. How are you surprised by the Heat? Because I have eyes connected to my brain, and I watched 82 games of regular season ball where they were mid. They weren't that. They're the Heat, so we always kind of have paying attention to the corner of our eye because we know that they're the Heat and what they're capable of. But last year they were a 1 seed. In the bubble, they were a 4. In the past, when they've gone on runs, at least they've shown us something in the regular season. This year was different.
So I just want to make let's go through that Bill Simmons trade value chart, which I pulled up. Mm-hmm. Bart, tell me when to stop.
Oh boy!
Tell me when you're
I'd rather have. Don't even do it because I'm
no. I'm
going to let you read 400 players before I say Spoelstra.
Okay, Grant, you'll actually play along. The 25th ranked is Franz Wagner.
See, it's immediately tough because
the fact that you're thinking about this tells you that.
Why is Franz Wagner ranked 25th?
Because Franz Wagner's good and he's young.
Yeah. But the thing is, if the player can't be the best player on a team that wins the title, what's the point? What's the actual point?
Here's number 27, Karl Anthony Towns.
Spo.
Thank you. That is the correct answer. The Timberwolves would 100% say yes to a trade offer from the Heat of Spoelstra for Cat. It's done. It's over. They're traded for each other. The Timberwolves would do that.
And I agree with a lot of the things that Bart has said. I'm not as fired up. He's very, very theatrical. First question from Bart, which I enjoyed, but cut through the performance. There's a lot of truth in there that I agree with. But Paul, I see where you're coming from.
Don't cut through me.
We have Cat. Awesome. Like, that's not getting you anywhere, as evidenced by, I don't know, the last 7 or 8 years when he's been in Minnesota. So I get what you're saying. And I would feel the same way in baseball. It's like, do you want the 30th best player in baseball, or do you want Craig Counsell as your manager? I'd take Craig Counsell. Like, I just think there's real value there if you have one of those guys. And I'd have to look at a list of baseball players and stuff.
Bart, number 29 is Trae Young. The Hawks would trade Spoelstra for Trae Young in a heartbeat. Paul George is number 30. I guess they have Ty Lue, so I really like Ty Lue.
Here's another thing: coach is never going to get hurt in the playoffs. You're always going to have it. He's always going to be there.
In theory, has a longer career. Like, they're not washed at 35.
God, I love questions like this. I did this with Bart. I remember a couple of years ago. It's like, if there was an expansion draft in baseball, how many players on the Brewers would you protect before you protected Counsell?
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite topic.
I love those types of topics. I'm with you, Paul, but I also hear the pushback from Bart.
But Bart, you're talking like 12th round pick.
I would not draft a coach until later. I would draft players.
You know what it reminds me of, and maybe I'm not sure how good of an analogy this is because I've not thought it through until this moment. It was like when Gronk was in his prime, and you wouldn't draft a tight end in fantasy football until a later. But Gronk was such a differentiator that if you had his fantasy points versus any other tight end's fantasy points,
don't be so high on Spoelstra that it's going to end up making me root against the Heat, because I really want to root against the Nuggets, because fuck that fan base. And I'm so happy that LeBron James, pretending to retire, took away all the spoils that the Nuggets were getting. Fuck them.
I didn't know the Nuggets had an. Again, I'm been off Twitter. I'm trying to stay away from it as much as I can. They have an annoying fan base.
They're doing what we did 2 years ago.
I was gonna say we would be doing the same thing,
but we were bad for that. It'd be like, hey, what do you want to talk about on the show today? I don't know. Did you hear what Kenny Smith said about the Bucks? Yeah, I don't know that the Bucks can go all the way. Huh? Are you not watching? We're watching all 82 games. Play as a bumper. Play later. Phone calls ring.
I don't trust these guys. It's ESPN. That's why I haven't watched ESPN in 15 years. They don't know what they're talking about. No one ever wants to come to Milwaukee.
Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to come to Milwaukee. It's 70 degrees. It sucks here. Steve, it's 70 degrees. Blah, blah, blah. Who gives a fuck? Now that I am a national host, if I was doing a show today, I would do way more segments on LeBron James retiring, and I would say he's not, and I would talk about how athletes are stupid for doing this. Then I would be like, well, boy, oh boy, Nikola Jokic really is something, isn't he? Nobody wants to hear that. And I don't want to say it.
# you're part of the problem.
Hey, speaking of Radio Joe, I remember when I was in college, I think just in the Jason Kidd years, and I remember them losing to Denver because they always did, and Jokic was young, and I remember Radio Joe, and I'll DM him. He was like, who would be great on the Bucks is this Jokic if they could trade for him, but the Nuggets will never give him up. And that was like 5 years ago. Wow. I want to go back and find that. It was a Bucks postgame show. So I've always
Radio Joe's not a one and done. People were really receptive to his appearance the other day.
He's still got the. Also, I love what Cone said, or if it was Cone, about the bump, giving guests the Bart Winkler bump. We need to do that as a community. I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we start off very hot, very heavy. I had a secondary topic, and we can do it very quickly or very short. We'll actually repeat like when we did the opening one about Tatum versus Durant. I just wanted to say, you get him for 2 years. Let's say it's a 2-year experiment. Let's call it 3 years. You get 3 years. Jimmy Butler is a top 10 NBA player. So we're doing this draft. Jimmy Butler is a top 10 NBA player right now, currently. If you had a 3-year experiment, or
yeah.
Where would you have ranked him a month ago?
20.
Yeah. And we were all wrong because this guy is. And this is why I wasn't trying to give Spoelstra all the credit. Jimmy Butler is like, one of the best Jimmy.
Well, this is what we need to learn, and you pointed it before. Like, if you're going to throw out stats like, Well, the Bucks were 6th in efficiency and plus minus in regular season. Or
means
who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they're not playing their full roster. They're not playing like the other team's full roster. No one cares. And I think you will see, like, it's two different things. The Nuggets, they were the number 1 seed. They got home court. But then the Heat, like, they're an 8th seed. You don't need to be, like, you can suck for a while in the playoffs before you are in the regular season. I think, Paul, oh, there you are.
I'm just listening.
No, you froze.
Okay.
Can we stop with the regular season doesn't matter? I hate how much.
No. My big thing is people are going to try to fix the regular season. We're going to throw all these different ways at it. And there's a very simple way. There's one way to fix the regular season. And that's to shrink the playoffs, which they won't do. So instead, we're going to do all these dumb bullshit things. We're going to be like, oh, the players can get a little more money then. No one gives a fuck about that. Oh, there'll be an in-season tournament. Who cares? Oh, it's not going to matter. It is not going to matter. The way to fix the regular season is to shorten the playoffs. And you're going to sacrifice because the playoffs have been fun and great. Yep. Even, with these series being looks like shorter.
They've still been entertaining. They've still been
great. It's been a great playoffs. And I think that we're going to be willing for that to be a thing at the expense of the regular season.
I just hate there are people in radio, and we're all radio guys, even though it's the podcast, who don't watch regular season basketball, and all year they're like, wake me when the playoffs come up. Okay, if that's how you want to host a show and watch sports, then I'm not going to hate on that. Wake me up when the playoffs start. And then the playoffs start, and you're like, well, why would anyone watch regular season? The Heat, it's like, well, come on, though. It's and I keep saying this in my show, it's an 82-game sample size. The fact that we didn't see the Heat coming, I think, is a lesson that we will learn. And moving forward, it's a blind spot, I think, in a lot of our sports fandom that we'll fix. The Lakers are a 7 seed, but they rebuilt their entire team at the deadline, right? And then post-deadline, they were one of the best teams in basketball. So don't tell me that didn't matter. I don't know. A lot of people excusing themselves from class with the regular season didn't matter. I don't like that. I don't know.
Professionally, I appreciate what you're saying because, Grant, you said something similar when I asked you, the two of you guys, a month or 3 weeks ago, on the block charge conversation. It was after Giannis got hurt, and I said the NBA should ban the take charge. And Grant, you had just said the night before about how that's a casual topic. I think the thing about some of these like casual quote unquote topics is like if you want to have an in-depth, nuanced discussion about the NBA season the regular season being meaningless, about the block, but they are casual topics. But if people want to go into the nuance and depth of it, it exists. I love the NBA regular season. That's where I get to watch all the shitty teams play meaningful games for them.
Yeah.
That's fun. I love that. But you shouldn't watch the Bucks and the Celtics on Christmas and think that meant anything for the destination and the destiny, I should say, of those two teams. It's for the young teams to build. It's for like a Kings team to grow up. It's for all these things. But I know I'm bummed about it too, even though Bart's not because they lost to the Warriors. But like that is where it's like, yeah, if you're just going to be dismissive of the regular season, say I'm not going to watch it, but yet I claim to care about sports and I host a radio show about sports, you're doing it wrong. But
I'm not trying to gatekeep. It's just
whatever. It is what it is. But I'm just saying, like, there is nuance, I think, to these that you can get into. The NBA season, regular season is like, don't use that as like your justification for why Mike Budenholzer was nice shorts, Bart, Warrior shorts. Don't use regular season stats to justify why Budenholzer is a good coach, because who cares? He took the Atlanta. How many wins did the Hawks have that year? Like 66. He had Kyle Korver as a starter, or not maybe not a starter, but in the All-Star game, he had 4 guys. None of it mattered because they got to the playoffs and got absolutely destroyed. Anyway, so Jimmy Butler we were all wrong, a top 10 player. We were all duped by regular season meaninglessness, and he's a top 10 guy. Period.
But
we've been wrong.
Also, that stuff is, as far as when we rank players and we remember players, and I don't mean to be all legacy guy because the Bucks lost and Tony from Texas, every other thing that's happened since then is legacy. It's not always that deep. We don't
what's he up to?
Jesus Christ. But like when we compare a player like Giannis or Jimmy Butler, right? You're like, oh, Jimmy Butler does it when it matters. Yeah, but it also matters for players who can have an 82-game regular season, put together a body of work, make first-team All-NBAs, get MVP consideration. Like that all goes on the ledger and the resume with how we think of players. We don't get to discard all of that, right? So I'm respecting the hell out of what Jimmy Butler's doing and 100% absolutely. But the greatest players do it in the regular season, put together that body of work, and then in the playoffs as well. So I don't want to discount that. I don't mean to be Mr. Regular Season is matters and we need to take it seriously, but it's part of a really big part of the equation and how we evaluate these teams and these players. So
it's not a good thing. It's a very bad thing for the NBA with like load management and conserving energy. And like they've had to institute now, I think you have to play 65 regular season games to be qualified for an award as an individual player.
Yeah.
But like Jimmy Butler,
that's not going to do anything. I've got a great stat on that.
Well, I'll hear it in a second, but I just want to say like,
oh, okay.
I just now I'm going to forget my point anyway. So maybe you might as well just go. But the guys like Jimmy Butler and others, like they know that it doesn't matter that they take a load management game. It should, because the fans get screwed. It's a bad fan experience. It's a bad TV experience if you're going to plan to watch that game in the crowd or at home. But it doesn't matter. He conserves his energy. And anyway, Bart, you go ahead. You got a stat on why it won't matter.
Yeah. Do you know what the average amount of games were played by All-Stars this year were?
Wait, say that question again.
Anyone in the All-Star game, they played on average 64.8 games in the regular season.
That's probably why they came up with 65.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we're like, oh, that'll curb load management. No, it's this exactly what we're seeing already.
Did Hot Take Jake say last night that LeBron is 10 to 15th all time?
Yes, he did. That was stupid.
Are you ever going to get my callers can say what they want on my show, but at the end of the day, I'm a little bit responsible. Bart, I feel like you need to intervene in instances like that.
Well, we had a Twitter space not too long ago that I was a part of. I think it was last weekend, and Jake was in there, and I was just like, I was yelling at him the way that I probably should have yelled at him on one of these shows, because he will never talk about LeBron, or he'll never talk about why Jordan is good. His only arguments for why Jordan's better than LeBron are always because I've seen it.
You gotta trust me, man. That's the Jordan crowd.
How can you not think that?
Just trust me. If you would have seen him, you'd know. Okay, all right.
Well,
sure.
we did see him. So
I
anyway, yes, but I'm so happy that people want to play and be a part of this that I don't want them to come on and just be like, except for Paul. I've been a huge dick to Paul today.
We can do that to each other. I just want to say in closing, just because I think it's just such a great Jimmy Butler story that I hope people don't forget. He took all of the Minnesota Timberwolves scrubs and said, I'm going to go beat Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, and the rest of the starters, and invited Rachel Nichols to the practice facility and booked a post-practice interview with her ahead of time because Jimmy Butler knew he and the scrubs were going to beat Towns, Wiggins, and the starters. And he did, and then did the interview.
And then
what? Oh, hey, watch yourself. That might not have been until the bubble.
That's
I don't know. Bart's brother was probably in the bubble. He might have intel.
Warriors didn't go.
Oh, that's right. That's so strange. That is just so strange.
He got my brother in the last 10 years got to be a part of 4 NBA championships and avoid the bubble.
What do you mean? Now, avoid the bubble? Like I think he will tell you one day when he's further removed, he would have wanted to be in the bubble.
Absolutely not.
No, I want to.
The best are the stories of like guys. Remember that guys sneaking out of the perimeter.
But I want to qualify that and say
chicken wings.
Like fucking Lou Williams went to Magic City. Oh shit, this whole thing's gonna come crashing down. It felt like as someone in sports talk at that time, it was the one thing that we had. It's like, okay, if this works, we're gonna have meaningful games to watch. And it just felt like even me, who wasn't involved, I was on a tightrope every day reading tweets about Lou Williams going to get chicken wings because the whole thing was going to come crashing down.
Yeah. Bart, your brother is quietly happy that he gets to actually have his May and June available to him this year? Mm-hmm or mm-mm?
No. Not the text that I've been getting when they were getting, beat.
Yeah, but
in the moment.
The year that the Packers, when Rodgers threw the pass to Cobb in the end zone at Soldier Field, did they finish that year 8-8 or 9-7? But that play won them the game. And man, I'm not even joking. I had a vacation planned with my wife in January, and I was like, "Fuck."
I hope not in the press box. There's no yelling in the press box.
No, but internally, I was like, "Okay, we'll leave on January 6th.
At Lambeau Field.
Leave on January 6th.
Whatever it would be. So, I would. In the moment, I wonder. In the future, I wonder if your brother will say, that would have been a unique experience in the bubble. In the moment, I get it.
I don't think so.
You kind of want to just have some time off. Okay. Can I pivot?
Is there any part of this that we can shit on Rob Demovsky or not today?
Ready?
Come on.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here's my question. Here's my topic. Green Bay does not have the infrastructure to host the NFL draft.
This is kick.
Mm-hmm. Or mm-mm.
So, mm-mm.
By the way, this topic is just so we can rant and bitch. So just go ahead.
Well, I think it's so interesting that no one else applied.
That is strange.
Green Bay got it, and then all of a sudden, people want to make it their business. Oh, it's in Green Bay. How is Green Bay is a town of 100,000 people? How are they going to be able to have this major event in their city? The 10 times a year they've been doing it for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a little different. You can't park in a parking structure. You have to park on someone's lawn. Oh, fuck. I mean, I was just at Canton for the Hall of Fame. It's the same shit. You're parking on people's lawns. All of the Canton, I had to stay 30 miles out of Canton, and we had to drive every day to go to Canton because there's no hotel. It's Canton, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
There's no business for a Hall of Fame to be there, but it is. And it's what makes it special. And I think it's going to be part of what makes it special. For a Green Bay reporter, everyone's wrong. And I thought the point about EAA, yes, that's a great point. Oshkosh brings in 500,000 people every Oshkosh. Okay. And then people stay in Fondy, or they stay in West Bend, or they stay in Milwaukee. Oh, you got to drive 60 miles. It's 60 minutes. It's minutes and miles. That's what's conflating people. If you have to, I want to go to the draft in Green Bay, but I got to stay in Appleton. Okay, that's a 30-minute drive. And in Kansas City, I got to stay. It's a 30-minute drive to the draft, but I'm still in Kansas City. Well, that doesn't matter. Or you're stuck in traffic for 30 minutes. That's worse. At least you get to drive. For anyone that's not affiliated with Green Bay, also, I told everyone last night about the DM I got from Ben Albright that one time. I'm glad that, and I've deleted it, so I don't have it word for word, but that was after he had a freak out and was like, oh, I'm going to take this very private thing that I did and really put my girlfriend on blast after I already fucked her over. And then I was shitting on him one day. He goes, I don't know why you're so obsessed with me, but you're going down a bad path, man. Trust me, from someone who's been there on Twitter. And I said, you and I have nothing in common, you stupid fuck. And he didn't block me then. And then finally he blocked me last night, 2 nights ago, whenever. And because he's shitting on Green Bay, I don't get it. And Rob Demovsky, look, you'll figure it out. It's not like all of a sudden Disney World is like, you know what, Paul, Disney? It's not like we're like, let's do this thing that we do at Disney, but this year we're going to have it at the Washington County Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
It's taking an NFL draft. What do you need for infrastructure? You need a stage and a staging area. And you need people to be able to gather and watch it. You don't need that much. The Packers can do that. And let's say they're going to have 150,000 people on that first day come to Green Bay. Okay, great. I mean, there's going to be people. It's a city. And what's the worst that can happen? There's going to be a traffic jam? Honestly, I just don't understand how it is such like it's not being held in Fond du Lac. And even if it was, have it in Fond du Lac. It's the fucking draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't like not everything needs to be held in LA or Denver or Chicago or New York.
Well, I think people love chiming in when they've covered events in different cities because they like being able to talk about their experiences in different cities.
I just did shit on Atlanta for being hot.
Well, yeah, but it's hot. It's hot. It's like they should, the people who they should do everything in Indianapolis or New Orleans because those cities are designed to host big events. And Houston, the driving is too much. And Green Bay, okay, we get it. You cover things in different places. Like, you don't need to take yourself and your experiences so seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be fine. There's a million different talking points that we could hit with this. This is an incredible topic. I guess the first thing that came to my mind was everyone in Milwaukee immediately. It's always the same thing. And this pisses me off so much because it's like, oh, better start up 41 now to beat the traffic. It's like you guys have to drive like an hour and a half to Green Bay. When I drive to Green Bay, like I'm just hoping I don't slide off the highway and into a fucking cranberry bog in the middle of nowhere. So also Milwaukee people pipe down.
Also take Highway 32 that gets you into De Pere and right around the back way.
I love talking about highways. First of all, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be cool. It'll be great. It's not a thing. And like I live in La Crosse. La Crosse hosts a couple bitchin' events every year where the city gets like sizably larger. Oktoberfest, but we have State Cross in a couple weeks. Bart, State Cross is like the coolest thing ever. Or State Track, not cross country. State Track is like the coolest thing ever. And reporters stay in Westby and they drive every day. It's not the end of the world. It's a cool event. There's lots of people. That's what you do. It's obviously the draft will be much bigger in scale, but
yeah, and then you get to like, oh, this Westby's a nice little town. I would have never known.
Great boat. Get a little Airbnb in Coon Valley. Which,
yeah,
by
and
the
then
way,
and then you're gonna have people be like, oh God, you're gonna have these people staying in Swamico or somewhere in Door County, and they'll be like, wow, what a great spot this is. I might take my family back here someday.
Yeah.
How did this whole thing happen? And you have not said the name Benjamin Albright yet.
Well, we did.
I said
did
him
what? Did I miss the part while I was like choking on my own?
I shared the DM he sent me. Yes, I did the whole thing.
I just was reading back. I was paying too much attention to his timeline because I wanted to see some of his responses to people. So I apologize that I missed it.
Oh, what did he say?
Someone said, how many people are going to tell you you're wrong before you reconsider that you might actually be wrong? To which he responded, I don't fall for argumentum ad populum fallacies.
He is such a fucking loser. What? I just don't get. I honestly, I don't get it. I don't get why people, unless it's a bit, I don't know. But why do people? Don't you feel like being a loser is a choice?
Yeah. He does now. This, I'm very, whatever. To each, everyone can do whatever. I don't really care usually, but all you have to do is look at this fucking guy's profile picture on Twitter and be like, oh, he's a total dipshit. Like Grant is going to reenact it.
Yeah, my sources are hitting me up.
So not only did you it's clearly like a senior picture type of photo with like a backdrop and the whole thing, but like then he's like, hey, wait a minute, camera person, I'm gonna do a series of poses where I'm looking at my phone. Ready? Okay, now next pose. Okay, I think we got that one. Good. Do you think? Let's take a look at those real quick. And then you're so proud of these pictures that you're like, hey, that's my brand. That picture is part of my brand.
An insider.
Well, my profile picture is part of my brand. It's me at a mic in my basement.
But but let's be clear. There's he is being serious. Like this
he's a loser.
Like this is like there's no parody or
satire. This is one of these guys that reported that Rodgers was 100% going to Denver.
Uh-huh.
This is where he became on the Paul for you.
Okay.
It's a Packer one. It's not about this loser. Devontae Adams regrets leaving Green Bay.
because of what he said in his interview last week about how no one can tell him he's a product of Aaron Rodgers.
No, fuck him. If he wouldn't be talking about it so much, I don't like him. I never did. Fact, I never liked Devontae.
Oh, that's right. You were always like the Devontae is a quiet diva, the most
diva. Yep.
Yeah,
sneaky diva.
Sneaky diva.
Diva.
Because of that Kansas City game, we all saw it. It was in there. You needed to know what to look for.
So now you think
I like Devontae. I like Devontae, but I also said he was a sneaky diva, and I think I'm right.
Nothing wrong with being a diva. We can all be a diva from time to time.
So you think he regrets leaving Green Bay?
Now,
I think he's still working through his feelings about having left Green Bay.
Well, now he's not playing with his college buddy anymore.
And I think in 10 years, he'll look back in his career and say, maybe I shouldn't have left in Green Bay.
I mean,
except for the fact that when Greg Jennings left, he was a shell of himself. Like Devontae
had a great year last year, sure.
He's great.
But if he had that same great year in Green Bay with Rodgers, people would have said, yeah, I mean, he's with Rodgers. So I think his legacy is improved. He's right. He will be looked more favorably upon as a result of putting up those same numbers.
I got to be honest. I don't think anybody other than Devontae has ever thought of Devontae Adams' legacy up until this point of time.
Dude, I mean, for multiple years, he was the best receiver in football.
You're
underselling this guy's full legacy right now.
There is a sneaky angle here to think that Devontae Adams did better last year than he would have in Green Bay with an offense that was kind of chunky and Rodgers who was a little banged up. I'm just saying, like maybe he was in a better situation last year with his college buddy, as messed up and as weird as that seems, at least for him to get numbers and for him to get quantity. And I know there were some games where they kind of ignored him, but by and large, he had a really good year. Anyways.
One of the responses from Benjamin Albright, someone told him, hey, you must never have been to Green Bay. We have Green Bay, and within a 30-mile drive, there's tons more. To which he said, well, I have been there, and I've been to the draft most years. And I'll tell you, no one wants to drive. The idea is to be able to walk because people drink. End tweet. Anyway, sorry. I don't usually get set off by dum-dums, but
I'm working on 24 days sober here.
Speak for yourself, Ben.
Yeah.
All right.
Have they been the most boring 24 days of my life? That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Yesterday,
I'll tell you what. Let me tell you this about not drinking for a little bit. Let me give you a massive pro. Is that I've been able to just wake up and start the day. I don't wake up and go, oh, fuck. What did I tweet? And that might be the biggest win of all.
That might be worth its weight in poundage.
I also don't want it because I'm not drinking in May, and I don't want it to be all right. Once it's June 1st, I'm back as a fucking lush again. But the NBA finals start that night, and it's like I want to have a drink, do a post-game show, get blocked by some fucking people.
You don't need to combine the drinking and the post-game show. You can do the post-game show.
All right.
By the way, one last thing on the draft. This is the most incredible sports radio podcast topic. Like the Brewers could have traded for a new ace yesterday. It would have been still more interesting to talk about the Packers getting a draft and then to read the tweets about I have to drive and the hotels and where are they going to put it? Like, I'm right. Like the Brewers could have traded, The Brewers could have traded for a new number one pitcher yesterday. This is a better topic than that. And I think that's so interesting.
The other thing I want to say about the draft, Bart, do you okay, let me actually turn this into a quick topic. You guys think Mark Murphy has done a good job as the whatever he is, president of the Packers?
As my boss, yes. An owner. I do.
Bart?
Well, this answer is dependent on if they're actually going to be snow on that hill come April. They need to have fake snow. Do I think he's going to good? It depends. Like,
has he? I mean, just very open-endedly. Like, has he? In Bart Winkler's opinion, he's done a good job.
Yeah, I don't like the people. Mark Murphy's job is not to win a Super Bowl. Mark Murphy's job is not to win a Super Bowl.
Keep going. I think I agree.
Go ahead, keep going.
Mark Murphy's job is to keep the Packers as a viable part of Green Bay and a successful business for as long as possible.
To which a Super Bowl amplifies significantly.
Yeah,
100%.
But a Super Bowl, like a Super Bowl, Titletown District, a Super Bowl, getting the draft.
But I think the Packers' Super Bowl wins of 96, of 2011, 2010, February of 2011, created the cash flow to be able to do Titletown. When I was the beat reporter up there, one of the things I had to cover was the annual owners meeting, but with that came like the interviews that we got to do with Murphy and other members beforehand, which was like the announcement of how much cash they've saved and how big like the slush fund is for a rainy day.
Coffers.
And and how much is like there in case Rodgers needs a $50 million signing bonus. Like these are all real things when you don't have a traditional ownership style. The Super Bowl wins and the success
Murphy's got one, doesn't he?
He's got one what?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, he does. But I'm saying like that is the addition of Titletown and the Packers' success are correlated.
I suppose. I'll say that for Bob Harlan, them winning a Super Bowl, him trusting Wolf and getting Reggie and getting Favre, like that was a massive W.
Yeah.
But also getting games out of Milwaukee was a huge win for them.
Unless you were a Milwaukee season ticket holder, then you might disagree. But
no, I think the Packers, I love Milwaukee and it'd be great to walk to a game because I want to drink. But the Packers playing Milwaukee was embarrassing.
Yeah. It was weird. I liked it. I went to mini games at County Stadium as a kid. Very strangely to think about that now, but I did.
I think I'm with Bart on that Murphy has done a good job despite, I think, underperforming in the playoffs and a lack of championships outside of 2011, because I think Mark Murphy for the football side has done his job. I think he's hired really good football executives, and I think he's stayed out of the way and let them cook. Like he let Ted Thompson run the ship, and I think Ted Thompson deserved that right. And maybe they held on to him a little bit long, but then he put Brian Gutekunst in power. Seems like Matt LaFleur was a good hire, and he's staying out of their way. What do you want him to do, right? Like, what more could Mark Murphy do on the football side of things to encourage winning and to win more in the playoffs? I don't know if there's more buttons that he could have pushed. Well, I want my executive to hire the right people and stay out of the way. I think.
Oh God, Grant, that's the most beautiful answer anyone could ever give. Hire the right people and stay out of the way. God, yeah. That's so important.
And as an owner, it resonates with me. That's why I don't have a problem living on the other side of the state. As I a hands-off ownership structure, and it's something that I'm a big fan of. So it's
just true universally. Like I live like it's like hire the right people, stay out of the way. The reason I brought up this question or this topic at the end of it about Mark Murphy, he's retiring at July of 24. Is that right? Somewhere around there? Is that when his sort of imposed retirement date is? Do you know off the top of your heads? It's something like that. But I say that to say the Packers, the story will come out eventually. But Bart, you mentioned this earlier that Green Bay ran unopposed to host the 2025 draft. There's got to be something there. But I say that to say Wes Hodkiewicz.
That's my favorite phrase.
I know. I don't know. I tried to walk around.
I like that phrase. I've been using it a lot lately.
To say like, okay. Anyway, so Wes Hodkiewicz.
This to tell you this.
You're setting a stage, right? You're telling a backstory. Wes Hodkiewicz, Packers digital reporter, former beat writer who I worked with, said in the quote tweet about the Packers getting the draft, he said, "Kudos to Mark, the Packers support staff, and the city of Green Bay. They burned a lot of midnight oil over the past decade to get to this point."
Yeah.
This is the cherry on top. This is like this. I mean, Mark Murphy's had several accomplishments, several achievements that I think he will bolster his resume one day. Titletown is definitely going to, Murphyville, whatever you've called it in the past. But like, I don't think we should overlook And I knew this from years that I was talking to Mark Murphy when I was a beat reporter there of how hard he was trying. And of course, it never even came that close to fruition while I was working up there. Murphy made this. This is a huge credit to him. And so people can talk about, did he become over involved after the Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson, lack of communication things. But between Titletown, which is, there used to be a Kmart where there's now a district of, it's incredible. And I think this draft is really, really important for his legacy. For Mark. On Monday, the NFL announced the third active QB roster thing where they don't take up an active roster spot, which is interesting and I think has ramifications for a Packers team that currently does not have a veteran backup. Sign Carson Wentz. Or
Never has a phrase gotten run in this state quite like veteran backup. We've said that every year, as long as I can remember. This is what we've wanted.
Chuck Freeman, big proponent of the veteran backup.
Absolutely. We need a veteran backup. I saw somebody, I don't remember if it was Andy Herman or Bukowski or
one. It doesn't even need to be good. Freeman's always wanted Brian Hoyer.
Yeah. Chase
Hoyer
Daniel.
Was a serviceable backup.
We get a Chase Daniel type.
Sign Carson Wentz? No.
No.
But is Ryan Horvath, though, I worry about him. Because if Sean Clifford has to start a game, I worry about Ryan.
Are the Packers winning the Super Bowl this year?
What's that?
Are the Packers winning the Super Bowl this year?
Bart is correct in where he's going with this. No, they are not.
I'm going to say, they are winning. They are the unquestioned favorite.
I think the dumbest thing that you could do when you've got this year of Jordan Love is to even have the remote possibility of a conversation of, should we start Carson Wentz instead? Packers are 2-4. Should they be starting Carson Wentz? No.
Well, also, if Jordan Love gets hurt, they're not winning a Super Bowl with Jordan Love. So if Jordan Love gets hurt
this year, sure,
they're not winning. Thank you. Aggregators don't aggregate. I know they watch the show like a hawk. They're going to aggregate. Yes. They're not winning a Super Bowl this year with Jordan Love. So if Jordan Love gets hurt for 5 weeks, whatever. We don't need to keep the ship afloat until he gets back. No, let the bottom drop out. Let the ship sink to the bottom of the fucking lake so then we can get better draft picks next year. I
agree.
I don't need the insurance.
Let's
go bankrupt. If things go wrong, let's go real wrong.
So part B, Jordan Love, Sean Clifford, Danny Etling. Packers are set at QB.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would who? Look, I mean, unless they want to get AJ McCarron or one of these guys from the XFL, that'd be fine.
Someone who's fun at least.
Luis Perez, Jordan Tiamu.
Oh, Grant. I know someone who you owe $50 to. They took your Monty Williams talk to the bank.
No.
or to the sports book.
That was poor. That was a poor decision of them. Wow. I don't know what. There was a change of thinking in the way the Bucks are going about this.
Let me wrap up with I got some odds here. Let me wrap up since I started bitching about LeBron. I will tell you about LeBron. Will LeBron James retire? Yes, plus 550. No, minus 1,000. So he's clearly not retiring. I actually think those odds are not big enough. Odds for next team, if not the Lakers: Knicks 3-1, Sixers 7-2, Clippers 5-1, Cavs 7-1, Suns 8-1, Warriors 9-1, Mavericks 10-1, Heat 10-1, Kings 12-1, Bucks 18-1.
Speaking of odds and LeBron, we called out Cone Roller, we called out Hot Take Jake and Tony from Texas. Can I call out one other member of this community before the podcast is done?
I just want to follow that by saying LeBron will, even if he retires for a year, he will play with his son.
He has to.
His son will get drafted higher than he should because they will also get LeBron's season of LeBron.
Mm-hmm. We had this topic like a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, call out some bitch.
I just can't imagine watching LeBron go for 40, 10, and 9, almost no turnovers, masterful. Can't imagine watching that. And then when the Lakers lose barely, tweeting a gif of Michael Jordan the way that Ryan Horvat did last evening. Oh. He's better than that. He's better than that.
I don't know that he is.
I didn't know he went to Catholic school. I've always been a big Horvat fan, but last week's episode, man, you guys
Horvat
shit out of that schedule.
Horvat loves the Packers, okay? Mm-hmm. And then he does get an incensed rage about the Chicago teams he likes. I can't tell you the amount of times in a given season, in a baseball season, and he does not give a fuck about baseball. Mm-hmm. But whenever the Cubs and Brewers play, and the Cubs are like up 2-0 after 3, I'm getting texts from him saying, "Pissant Brewers." It's like, Jesus, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not even watching the game.
Pissant. Ant-Man.
He is very much one of them. All right, ladies, good stuff.
Cheers.